welcome to the next episode of the Mailbox Rogues Gallery.
Yes.
The newly named. This is our 5th episode, and we've just settled on a name, so we'll probably go back to the other ones and apply that. And you want to get marketing on point, you want branding to be focused, and kind of you need some synergy there.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just say it now so that we can retroactively add it to the other ones that we've done. Mailbox Rogues Gallery. So if we just superimpose that everywhere
over everyone
on the other ones, then
okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Unfortunately, we didn't record a bit in each of the other ones where we went, hello and welcome to the... And then there was a gap for you to say that.
But if we just put, if we just say the title, people will get the idea.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just literally just start it with that. Mailbox Rogues Gallery.
Okay. Well, I'll go back and do that. We'll do that in post.
Excellent.
So, that's housekeeping done. Do we move straight on to our topic this week?
Yeah, we can do. Yeah, today we're going to be talking about Elvis Presley.
Elvis Costello.
Elvis Costello Presley.
Yeah, as his friends used to call it, Elvis Costello Presley.
That's right.
No, not really. We're talking about Elvis Presley.
Elvis the Pelvis.
Elvis the Pelvis Presley.
Because they called him Elvis the Pelvis because of his quite thrusting dance moves, where he moved his body to and fro. But I think what people actually don't realise is that he did actually suffer from a very serious pelvic condition, which made him spasm like that on stage.
Yeah, those gyrations, they were not intentional, were they?
No, they weren't meant in any kind of sexual manner at all. It was, very serious.
And he, for the rest of his life, he was hounded for his... He
was hound dogged.
He was hounded like a dog for that.
He was crying all the time. He never caught a rabbit or anything.
No.
No friend of yours.
I thought we were going to talk about just the conspiracy theories surrounding his death. I'm saying death there. I'm using air quotation marks for people who can't see me, which is everybody but you. You thought we were going to talk about the life and times of Elvis. So I'll let you start, because obviously I'm going to have the last third of this. And you can just do his life.
That's all right, yeah.
Tell us all about him.
Well, you a fan of Elvis? You listen to him much?
Yeah, big fan. Yeah.
Good.
A hit machine that he was. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
I've heard about one or two of his songs.
I always think of him as someone who... I can't imagine anyone ever hating him. It's always very much, I'm a big Elvis fan. Or the worst I think I've probably ever heard is just like, oh, he's okay, I don't really listen to him.
Yeah.
I don't think I could think of anyone who said they out and out hate him.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a very hateable sort of guy. I mean, I suppose he was repugnant in the last few years leading up to his death, but not hateable.
No.
And again, when we think back, we've got fond memories. Because before he was a fat old bastard, he had a long, lovely career of being a good-looking young man.
He was a thin young bastard.
He was a thin young bastard, yeah. So, no, I think he's quite likeable. He's up there, him and Cliff Richard, the saints of the rock and roll
Pioneers of rock and roll.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, like, with rock and roll, I mean, it was certainly a kind of something that was happening, but he was definitely the person who I think really ignited it and maybe brought it into the public consciousness and became
because he was white. He was the Eminem of his day.
That's true. Yeah, he robbed from what at the time was a black art form and
Blart form.
A Blart form, Paul Blart form, and just took it for his own. You're right, he is repugnant.
No, I only meant when he was, in those cat suits. The sides of his head were enveloping his face. He was that big.
Well, that was the coroner's report, wasn't it?
Yes,
that's what
suffocated by his own head. His head fat smothered him. So yeah, rock and roll. He used to play a lot of Little Richard songs. Little Richard really kicked it off.
How little was Little Richard?
Tiny. He's a minuscule little guy. That's why he never got very big, because people couldn't see him.
Yeah.
He actually was doing the hip gyrating thing first, but no one could see him unless he was under a microscope. And that didn't work well with TV audiences, so they got Elvis in to do the rest.
No, only one person could really see him at a time.
At a time,
so
yeah.
you couldn't really ignite the public consciousness.
No, that's a shame, really. Never really got his dues. Shoes were very cheap for him, though. They're quite easy to make, compared to like a full size shoe.
Yeah, we.
Actually,
I
no,
don't
that
know.
doesn't
No,
make any
no,
sense at all.
not at all. No, it'd be difficult. For me.
Small shoes use less material than big shoes, so therefore should be cheaper. But when you're getting that small, you get the effort is really going to shoot up, isn't it?
He probably lived in rags most of his life.
Poor bastard.
What about his guitar?
He was a piano man. He
What
never
about
played
his
guitar.
piano?
Oh, he had a full size piano. He had a concert grand.
I thought
He used to have to jump from key to key.
he was like in the film Big.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. He was very much a precursor to Inch High Private Eye. I don't know if you remember that cartoon.
Yeah.
About the PI who was exactly an inch tall, and that was while wearing his Stetson.
Yeah. Well, it helped him solve crimes.
His Stetson or his shortness?
Stetson.
Yeah. Okay.
No, his shortness.
Yeah, he could crawl through keyholes.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Crawl through assholes.
For fuck's sake. Let's get back to talking about Elvis, please.
Okay. Elvis.
He never crawled for any arseholes. So when he was in the army, he was stationed in West Germany, and he met his future. That's where he met Priscilla, and also became dependent on barbiturates. Wait, am I saying that right? Barbiturates. Yeah.
Barbiturates.
Barbiturates, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Drugs. So that's where he picked up his drug addiction.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, that's
The
good.
two biggest loves in his life.
Yeah. Priscilla and getting wrecked. All right, so what else have you got to say about Elvis? Favourite song of his? What's your favourite Elvis song?
Oh, favourite Elvis. Don't Be Cruel. That's a good song.
Mm-hmm.
That's a decent one.
I like the B-side, Do Be Cruel.
Oh yeah, that was a real dark turn. That song, like putting pins in people's ears.
Oh, wow, deafening them.
Yeah,
That's horrible.
and like throwing grains of rice
To pigeons.
in dogs' eyes.
Oh, that's even worse than throwing it to pigeons.
Well, we already know he
Maybe.
doesn't like dogs with
The
his
hound
kind
dog,
of his anti-dog protest song Hound Dog.
Most of it, a lot of people don't realise that actually he was a big proponent for social change. Almost all of his songs were protest songs, weren't they?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Care to name a few?
Well, Jailhouse Rock. He wanted the jailhouses to be built out of rock.
Oh
he
yeah.
He didn't like the brick and stone and iron system they had. He wanted them all to be built out of rock. He's a big fan of the Flintstones.
Yeah. I see.
Yeah, he was a big fan of the Flintstones.
He felt the prison system was too archaic, so he wanted something prehistoric.
Exactly, yeah. Bit of a Luddite, really. The original name for Graceland was going to be Bedrock.
Right.
Not many people know that, yeah. What other songs did he do that were protest songs?
Oh yeah, Heartbreak Hotel.
What was that protest thing? Remind me.
Basically the kind of increase in hotel prices.
Yeah.
He couldn't take his mum anywhere on holiday. They went to Benidorm. They wanted to go on holiday somewhere nice and sunny.
Yeah.
Nice climate.
Yeah.
But they couldn't afford to go just because the hotel prices.
Yeah. What other songs did he do? Suspicious Minds is my favourite.
That's a great song. And that was a protest of uncertainty. He didn't like uncertainty.
No. He wanted everybody to be sure of everything all the time. That's why he invented Wikipedia.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
His last parting gift to the world.
He just he was on his death toilet.
Death toilet, yeah.
He was on his death toilet and he was calling out, it's like, oh, somebody get a pen and a bit of paper. It's like, what is it? What do you want to write down? Oh, it's, Wikipedia. It's,
Yeah, that.
how are you spelling that? Oh, boy. Flush.
And that was it. He died. Yeah. Penultimate word, Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, he died doing what he loved. Having shit.
Banging shit, yeah. That's pretty horrific. I mean, at that point in his life, he was very dependent on drugs, and his kind of like star was fading a little bit. So it was quite
A little bit. Fucking hell. He overdosed twice in the year preceding his death from drug overdoses. He was in a coma for a few days.
just wanted to push his limits.
Yeah. Well, Neil Young did famously say, "Better to burn out than fade away."
better to shut yourself away than to lead a healthy life.
Better to blow yourself out.
Better to clean yourself through than to...
Oh. Do you think he had Elvis in mind when he said that? Neil Young? Do you think he had that Elvis in mind?
Yeah, I'm sure he did. Well, who else could he be talking about?
No one that I can think about. If he was going to be in a kind of buddy cop film, you know, like Odd Couple style buddy cop film, who would you pair him up with? I mean, I mentioned that Odd Couple, so Walter Matthau's the first person that springs to mind, obviously. Elvis! That's quite a good impression.
Yeah, I guess you'd want someone in an Odd Couple kind of situation, or in like these kind of buddy cop films. You kind of like have the polar opposites, don't you? So you've got the guy who plays by the books, and then you've got the maverick renegade. In the Odd Couple, you've got one of the characters is kind of like a hypochondriac clean freak. The other guy is like a messy slob. So I guess you'd want someone who's like a kind of a polar opposite to Elvis.
Who's the opposite of Elvis then? That in itself is a big question.
Paddington Bear?
Paddington Bear, yeah. Quite dissimilar in many ways. Paddington's Peruvian, for one thing.
Yeah.
He's also a bear. Wears a red hat. Elvis never wore a red hat, famously.
Elvis did famously love marmalade, though.
Ah, yeah.
He kind of spread it on everything.
Maybe that would be the one thing that they've got in common that kind of brings them together.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, it's like in Batman versus Superman, they bond over the fact that both their mothers are called Martha for some reason.
That's such a fucking awful scene.
I can't imagine why that happens. I've not seen it. I just know that. So maybe they have a marmalade scene where it's like they're beating the shit out of each other. It's like, if only I had some. Oh, if only I had some marmalade.
Yeah, there's like a bit of toast in the kitchen. Like a hand goes to grab it, and then a paw.
Yeah.
And then the camera pans back. And it's like, did Paddington had a narrator, didn't he?
It depends which incarnation.
Like
he talks in the latest film.
Oh no, I'm talking about the original stuff. So Elvis would have been like, oh, "That's my bit of toast." "That's my toast," said Paddington.
Yeah, it's all in the third person.
And they're still grabbing it. They go into the drawer. They're looking for something to spread on it, and then both of their hand and their paw touch the marmalade jar.
Right,
and
so they got one hand on the toast, one hand in the fridge. On the marmalade.
They got two pairs of hands and paws.
They've got two pairs of hands each.
No, two pairs of hands and paws. So you got one pair of hands, one pair of paws.
Right, okay. That makes more sense.
Elvis famously had very hairy paws. That's why he couldn't play guitar that well.
That makes sense.
And so Paddington's got his kind of like human hand on the bit of toast. You got Elvis kind of like clutching it with his bare paw.
Yeah. Getting a bit of fur on it.
Yeah. It's not great, but, you know. And they kind of struggle over to the fridge. Right. Open the fridge. Open the fridge door, and they're looking. There's like the strawberry jams in there. They got
Marmite.
You got tomato sauce if you're that way inclined. And then they just kind of like reach out for the marmalade. They're both there. Elvis's paw and Paddington's hand. Touch, and then they look at each other, and it's just kind of like the strings start to swell, and it's just kind of like, oh, we're not so different, you and I.
And they actually both say that at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although it would be a bit bad because they both say it at the same time, and then you just hear said Paddington.
And then Elvis says out loud, said Elvis. Yeah. I'm going to have to listen back to the tape. I'm still not entirely sure how they ended up swapping hands. What was his connection with Hawaii then?
His connection with Hawaii?
Yeah. At least a couple of his films were in Hawaii, weren't they?
Well, he had the one that was in Hawaii. He might have had a couple.
He was always wearing that grass skirt and putting rings of flowers around people's necks, wasn't he?
Yeah, but that was a stipulation that he had in his contract for every film that he did. And every performance as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Every audience member, as they came into the auditorium in Las Vegas, he slipped a little wreath of flowers around their neck.
Oh, yeah, he was stood at the door. He was the one handing them out to however many thousand people going to see him. Yeah, and people seem to forget as well, like in those early TV appearances, that he was kind of there kind of shaking his pelvis like in a grass skirt.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's probably where the pelvis shake came from, actually. He's probably very influenced by his grass skirt dancing.
Yeah. Although the problem with that back then, and what caused a lot of the controversy, is that it wasn't a long grass skirt. It was just kind of like blades of grass.
Blades of normal grass,
that you'd get like on a normal lawn. So he was kind of... His cock was just hanging out.
He didn't wear... He's like a Scotsman. He wouldn't wear any pants.
No, exactly.
Another stipulation of his. He had a great lawyer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he was able to go onto live television basically with a grass belt and nothing.
His dick hanging out.
With his cock hanging out. But the teens liked it.
Oh, they loved it. Went mad for it. No wonder he was a sex symbol.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've got some kind of crazy conspiracy notion that he is actually dead, whereas I know otherwise, that he is very much still alive. But what do you think he would be doing if he was still in the spotlight? If he hadn't, according to your timeline, died?
I mean, it's difficult. I mean, he would have...
He'd be 82 this year.
Right. Well, I mean, he died just around the kind of birth of hip hop.
We died in 77, so actually he would have been on the money with punk if he'd stuck around.
Right. So what, you reckon he would have like kind of started like a punk persona?
I could see him in the Dead Kennedys. They do a cover of Viva Las Vegas. He could have just had him in doing it. Yeah.
I could see him as an ice cream salesman.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I could see that. Mr. Elvis's whippy.
Yeah, he's just kind of like sat in his ice cream van. He's kind of like fashioned his driver's seat into a toilet. So he doesn't have to move.
Yeah.
And like in the seat next to him, he's got like some chalk ices. There's no fridge.
Just sat there in a pile. And he's actually got a burger grill next to that.
Yeah.
He's got a lean, mean, fat reducing grilling machine.
He's got some bacon, cheese, and peanut butter ready.
None of this is helping the chalk ice situation, of course.
No, of course not. But he just has it there anyway. So he kind of like pulls up outside schools.
He turns the music on. Of course, is some of his hits.
Yeah. But like with ice cream related lyrics.
Yeah. Care to
it's like
expand on that?
We got nothing but a chalk ice. Buy one, get one free.
Good deal.
Yeah.
That's a great deal.
No, he was a good businessman.
Savvy.
Very savvy.
I mean, it wasn't anything to do with the fact that they were melting and sticking together. He maybe just wanted to shift them.
That's true, yeah. He needed to find a way to get rid of these chalk ices, which at this point were just kind of like milkshakes. That's it. No, he would have invented the milkshake in the bag.
Which to this day had not been invented until you just said it.
But
milkshake in a bag. Interesting.
Because, yeah, you'd have the plastic kind of wrapper on the chalk ice, and it would have melted. So had he been alive, he would have invented that, and I wouldn't have even had to have mentioned it on this podcast.
No, you wouldn't have even had a chance to invent it, because Elvis would have...
everyone would have just been like, yeah, we've had those for years.
And it would be one of those little-known facts. It's like you get a quiz on trivia night. It's like, and who actually was the first person to invent the milkshake in a bag? I know this one.
Oh, God.
It was Elton John.
No, afraid not. No, it was Elvis Presley in his later years as a fat ice cream man. So yeah, I could see him doing something like that. Maybe kind of stray away. Well, he'd still be in the limelight if he had invented that, but maybe for a different reason.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I love his music, but I honestly think that tops it all.
Yeah, I think it's a shame he didn't live out his true potential.
Yeah, that's it. You know, we talk about the music we lost, but we never talk about the inventions as well that were lost to history.
The possible inventions that he could have come up with for decades. Yeah, 77, remember? So he could have had like 40 years of just kind of like great stuff.
Yeah, some crackpot schemes. I'm sure something would have come out of one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the toilet seat in the car for one.
That's another one. Yeah, didn't even pick up on that, because that's not very usual these days, is it? Doesn't come standard in a car these days.
No, not at all.
I mean, there are questions, that are raised, obviously, as to what happens with, well, I don't want to say it, but his waste.
Right. Okay.
It's like an eco thing. It's
Well,
like
yeah, it could.
ice cream van run from human feces.
Yeah, in his later years, he kind of shies away from the spotlight. He kind of goes off the grid a bit.
Aye.
Starts driving around in a shit-fueled ice cream van.
No wonder he stayed under the radar for so long. No one would pick up on that.
Well, I mean, yeah, if he is alive, that's what I think he's doing.
Yeah. Well, I'll keep an eye out, mate. I'll keep an eye out.
Yeah, if ever you hear like a kind of ice cream man kind of jingle.
Yeah.
Kind of, oh, it's not Elvis.
Oh. I mean, he's obviously... That would completely blend him into society seamlessly. No one would ever pick up on him.
Although I think the smell would probably meet you before the ice cream man jingle, wouldn't it?
Well, that combined with the white cat suit he's been wearing for the past 40 years.
Well, he can't get out of it, to be fair to him.
No, he probably needed a lot of help to get into it in the first place.
Yeah, but you might have had a brief healthy... No, okay, no, he wouldn't have. No, he just kind of got fatter after 77.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look... It didn't take him very long in the grand scheme of things to get as fat as he did. So if you kind of, if you put that on a graph, if you chart that, I think he would be very, very big.
Well, like a kind of a Jabba the Hutt kind of figure.
Yeah, I think he'd kind of have a bit of a space worm in a cat suit. I think that would sum him up pretty well. It's good to know, that he had potential when he died. He wasn't just washed up.
No, that's true.
A lot of potential.
But you were saying a second ago that you believe he's still alive. So, I mean, do you have any theories on what he's doing now, or why you think he didn't actually die?
I've got a lot. I've got. Let me just look at my notes.
Oh wow, I didn't see those notes.
2 sheets of paper.
Mm.
Well, obviously he didn't. There are a lot of conspiracy theories as to whether he did die or not. So I thought maybe I'd just sort of run through the main ones as to why people think he might still be alive.
Right.
The first one is his coffin was very, very heavy. Right? So the pallbearers could barely lift him. He was a big guy, right? But he had all these pallbearers and they could never lift him. And the reason for that was there was a very complicated cooling system keeping the coffin cold, because the body in the coffin was not actually Elvis. It was just a wax figure of Elvis. And there's,
It's actually ruby wax.
It was ruby wax in the coffin. They got, her famous red hair. They put a wig on that and put the pompadour on. Other than that, they're actually indistinguishable. Not a lot of people realise if you swap their hairstyles over, they would look identical.
No, exactly.
Identical. So they obviously, so they never put him in the ground. Also, on his gravestone, his middle name is spelt differently from the way he...
Is that right?
Well, not really. It's spelt the way it was on his birth certificate, but not the way he liked it to be spelt.
Oh, right.
So that's... Because his middle name's Aaron, so he used to spell it Aran. And then on his tombstone, it's 2 A's at the start.
Oh, right.
So, obviously, that's him giving a signal to the fans. It's like, the people who really know me, they know that I'm not dead. So, there's that.
Interesting.
Also, he potentially had a lot of mafia connections, flipped on them, went into witness protection. So that's potentially why he's been driving an ice cream truck around Burnage for the past 40 years. They wanted to get him as far away from America as possible.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's about as far from the bright lights of Las Vegas as you could get, really.
Yeah, Burnage, like Greater Manchester, is this is it, yeah. It's actually near where I was living when I lived in Manchester.
Oh, right.
I always used to see this guy as I walked down the street. He's kind of hobbling along, and every time he sort of limped a little bit, and he sort of went as his walking cane went
Just eating peanut butter out of his right hand.
Yeah, had a big overcoat on, and he had loads of pockets, and each one there was banana in one, if I remember, peanut butter in the other, bacon in one of them, and then grilled cheese.
That sounds like Elvis.
Grilled cheese.
That sounds like Elvis.
Do you know what? I never thought to ask him. The number of people in my lifetime I've asked, "Are you Elvis?"
Right.
But that person, I never thought to ask. Also, he attended his own birthday party at Graceland this year.
This year?
Yeah, this year. He'd be 40 years. He'd be 82. 40 years since he disappeared or died.
Yeah.
Just for anybody listening, every time I say die, just imagine I'm doing air quotes with my hand, because I am.
Yeah.
So it was his 82nd birthday, and they did some sort of celebration at Graceland, and there's a picture of a man at the event who has a beard and hair and sunglasses. Who else could that be? Who else could that be?
Beard, hair, sunglasses.
Also a crown, and he was the king.
Right.
If you remember.
Okay.
And a catsuit. He was wearing a white catsuit, very bejeweled.
With like Elvis, kind of like on the back of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be him. Could be Elvis.
Yeah. Could be. He's eating a hamburger and grilled cheese.
Yeah. Introduced himself as Elvis. Could be him. And
the last and most important piece of the puzzle is the fact that he is in Home Alone. Are you aware of this?
I've seen Home Alone, I don't know how many times. I've never noticed him in that film.
This is a genuine conspiracy theory that he is in Home Alone. So what's the mother's name? Screamy shouty woman is at the desk, and she's going, "I've got to get back to, where is it? New York? I don't know."
No, it's not New York, because in the second one he ends up in New York. Yeah. I don't know, some kind of like Midwestern kind of suburb.
Yeah. Anyway, so screamy shouty woman, she's at the desk. She's, "I've got to get back to Kevin." She's shouting at the person at the desk.
That's what she says.
And behind her in the queue is stood Elvis bloody Presley. Shit you not. This is 1990, I think, roughly. That film came out. So 13 years after his supposed death is when he makes his comeback, basically.
Right. Does he have any kind of like speaking part?
No. He just stood there behind her in the queue.
Right, I see. Because I thought you were going to confuse him with John Candy, because they would have been about the same size at that point.
No. I mean, I'm not dicking about. This is a real conspiracy theory.
Okay.
Although I can see the resemblance.
Yeah, John Candy. Yeah.
That's sort of like maybe his projected body type. He would have, if he'd lived those extra 13 years, which he did, he would have been looking like John Candy. I'm gonna show you this.
I can't wait.
Elvis Home Alone. Here he is.
Okay, for the listeners,
just describe what you're seeing there.
He's now got a scene that I've seen many times from the film Home Alone, where Kevin's mother is stood at the desk, and she's like, "I need to get back to my boy," and
in the airport.
I'm just going to move. It's very unprofessional, but let's have a look. So, who am I looking at? Oh, with the guy with the...
There he is.
Elvis.
There he is. Been telling you. I told you he wasn't dead, mate.
Jesus Christ. Well,
I told you I wasn't dicking about. There he is. He's alive and well.
Well, you can't argue with photographic evidence.
Exactly. You just can't.
I think I remember hearing that the amount of songs that he did with the word blue in the title, I think he did about like 15, 20 songs with that colour in the title.
We've got Blue Christmas, Blue Moon of Kentucky, A Mess of Blues, Blue Moon, Steamroller Blues, Moody Blue, Mean Woman Blues, Milk Cow Blues Boogie, which sounds incredible. We're going to listen to that next.
Yeah.
Indescribably Blue. I wonder how he manages describing that. Beach Boy Blues. That can't be a song.
He did a song called Beach Boy. What year did he?
It's 61.
That would have been about the time that the Beach Boys came about, wouldn't it have been?
Maybe they robbed him or something. Maybe he got really sad after they yelled naughty words at him.
What happened was he went to a football game with the Beach Boys, and they were supporting the Blues. And Elvis...
Right, they're City fans, and he was a United fan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's why he moved to Burnage. Yeah. Except Burnage is City.
That's right. But, well, he just wanted to be closer than he was already. So, yeah, City won the game 3-0. And as a kind of a fuck you to the Beach Boys, he wrote that kind of song, Beach Boys Blues, where he basically says, "Your team's shit, and you know you are. You're shit."
Did he write that? Is that him?
Yeah,
that's one of his.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't think a lot of people realise, but a good 10 years of Elvis's career in the early days was just for like football and
Solid-
hooligan chants.
Solid football anthems for a good 10 years, yeah. After pioneering rock and roll, he moved straight on to just football chants. My favourite Elvis one along that line is the one that goes, "Your mum's a cunt, your dad's a..." Hang on, you're not letting me get very far into it. Okay, so I used to sing this all the time with my mate on the ride to work. We used to drive to work together. Your mum's a cunt, your dad's a cunt, your brother's a cunt, you're a bunch of cunts. Just that, round and round. Love it.
That was a good one, yeah.
Did he write? He didn't write his own songs, did he?
He recorded, I think it was like over 600 songs
What?
in his lifetime.
Really?
Didn't write a single one.
Really? Lazy sod.
I know.
No. Good singer, though.
Oh, yeah.
Lovely voice. 600 songs.
About that it's around that kind of figure for sure.
So how many? So we're saying about 40% of those are football chants?
Yeah, a good 40% of them are kind of like, football and taunt chants kind of thing.
Yeah. I feel a little bit bad that we don't know more football chants.
Yeah, I've never been to a game. I've never had a chance to...
I'll take you to a game, son. I'll take you to a game.
Oh, thanks, Dad.
I've never been to a football game.
No.
It boggles my mind. I mean, I haven't been to one in 15 years, but I've been to one.
I've never really liked football. I mean, I played it as a kid.
You were more about heroin growing up, weren't you?
Yeah, it was growing up growing up in primary school, like in the southwest, it was either football or heroin.
You had the school was divided, wasn't it? It was one or the other.
You had your cliques.
Yeah, it was the sort of Blur and Oasis when we were growing up. It was football or heroin. Mate, grow up in Glasgow, you don't have to pick.
Well, I mean, that was Trainspotting was a big influence, like in the mid-90s when we were kids. So yeah, heroin was certainly made to look very...
That side of the school, worshipping David Beckham, all trying to look like him, getting the haircuts and the, drawing on the tattoos. Me and you, mate, we were we were trying to be Ewan McGregor in Trainspotting. Yeah,
just looking like we've been awake for 7 days straight and just shaking students, just saying, choose life.
So, I was going to just read some quotes about him from before he died.
Oh, yeah. About him or from him?
About him.
Oh.
He didn't really release many statements after he died.
Right. It's probably best.
Many people talking about him. Yeah. So I just wanted to... So we talked about the conspiracy theories. I just want to talk about his death in a bit more detail.
Yeah.
So he died aged 42 in 1977, August the 16th. So he was scheduled to fly out of Memphis to begin another tour. He was touring a lot up until when he died. So his girlfriend discovered him in an unresponsive state on his bathroom floor. Now, according to her eyewitness account, Elvis looked as if his entire body had completely frozen in a seated position while using the toilet and had fallen forward in that fixed position directly in front of it. It was clear that from the time whatever hit him to the moment he landed on the floor, Elvis hadn't moved. So, and then someone else has said, for some reason, perhaps involving a reaction to the codeine and attempts to move his bowels, he experienced pain and fright while sitting on the toilet. Alarmed, he stood up, dropped the book he was reading, stumbled forwards, and fell face down in the fetal position. He struggled weakly and drooled on the rug. Unable to breathe, he died.
What was the book? Must have been a real kind of like page turn, like a shocker. Maybe he was reading Game of Thrones. Just like, Jesus Christ. Oh, Red Wedding.
Sent him over the edge. So I don't know. I just love that they went into so much detail.
Yeah, it was quite an intense account, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was. Yeah. Yeah. It was. To be honest, everything surrounding his death is pretty horrible. There were attempts to steal his body after the funeral, so they had to move him. He was buried next to his mum. They had to move the two of them.
Yeah, they were married.
They were married.
Yeah, it was stipulated in Elvis's will that he'd be married to his dead mother.
Yeah. Not legal in many states, but it was in Nevada, weirdly.
Exactly, yeah, so all's fair in love and war.
He died in Tennessee, so they had to ship him and his mum out to Nevada to marry them, then to just ship them back as man and wife.
Well, I heard that they married the two... They married the two corpses in international waters.
Oh, yeah.
And had this very surreal ceremony which
And what was weirder about it was that he was in the Pacific and she was in the Atlantic. They had to do them in separate international waters.
No, that's right. Yeah, they did it. Yeah, just because of the laws over there, I guess, at the time. And yeah, yeah, they did it by and they couldn't do it by walkie-talkie or anything like that. The actual ceremony. So they did it by a carrier pigeon. They sent their vows. The whole ceremony took about 7 weeks. Just because this poor pigeon had to kind of like fly from.
They only used one pigeon at a time.
Oh yeah.
His favourite pigeon, probably.
Oh yeah, Rocky.
Rocky, his favourite pigeon.
Rocky the pigeon. So he had to fly from the Atlantic to the Pacific, I think about 12 times.
It's a big journey. It's a big journey.
For a pigeon, yeah.
For most people. For most people.
I guess.
As well as pigeons, yeah. Well, worth it. As long as he's happy.
Yeah, in the afterlife. Death. Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So talking about the autopsy, they said his physician basically in the first 8 months of 1977, so from January the 1st until when he died in August, he'd been prescribed more than 10,000 doses of sedatives.
What? What?
More than 10,000 doses of sedatives, amphetamines. Sorry, more than 10,000 doses of sedatives, amphetamines, and narcotics. 10,000 in 8 months.
Gee, and he was prescribed that by doctors.
Those were legal prescriptions. Yeah, his doctor was actually eventually suspended.
I guess it was a similar thing, almost like with Michael Jackson's doctor. Because after Michael Jackson died, and it was kind of discovered the kind of drugs that he was taking at the time, it was just quite a big kind of court case against him. Basically, what the bloody hell were you thinking?
Yeah,
prescribing these to him, you ruddy loon.
He's not dead either, though, is he, Michael? He's
him
and Elvis are probably hanging out a lot. Actually,
well, yeah, Michael has the burger van. Elvis does
Elvis
the
is his
dessert.
best customer.
Yeah, exactly. And Michael loves milkshake in a bag.
Yeah, sorry, not ice cream. What we're talking about, milkshake in a bag. It used to be ice cream before it melted.
Yeah, that's right.
Milkshake in a bag.
So yeah, they're keeping each other afloat almost. It's like a self-sustaining economy with these two vans.
Great little economic ecosystem going around there. Yeah.
You got the king of rock and roll, and you got the king of pop. So it makes sense that they might kind of...
He sells fizzy pop as well. Panda Pops, is it?
Yeah, he sells... Yeah. On the side of his burger van, he's got the king... the king of fizzy pop.
And there's a picture of him holding a Panda Pop.
Yeah, his kind of like corpse looking body at this point.
Yeah, well, he was kind of corpse looking before he died. So...
Fairness. But yeah, no, so yeah, it's just like his face on there just holding this kind of little fizzy pop.
Just one more quote I wanted to read. So... One of the doctors who was present at the autopsy, and the quote in quotes, he believes Presley's chronic constipation, the result of years of prescription drug abuse and high-fat, high-cholesterol gorging, brought on what's known as Valsalva's manoeuvre. Put simply, the strain of attempting to defecate compressed the singer's abdominal aorta, shutting down his heart.
Yeah, that'll do it.
That'll do it. I love the way it's called Valsalva's manoeuvre. Somebody called Valsalva has died on the toilet, and they've gone... We're going to forever remember this man by naming this manoeuvre after him.
And I think that's very... It's very polite of them to refer to it as a manoeuvre.
As a manoeuvre, yeah. Like a parking manoeuvre.
Yeah, as if it's got some kind of like technical kind of ability
There's
to
some
it.
merit to it, yeah. Put simply, the strain of attempting to defecate compressed the singer's abdominal aorta, shutting down his heart.
Oh, dear.
Are those some of his lyrics, actually? It sounds... a bit like them, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's like some 12-bar blues in the background.
Yeah. The strain of attempting to attempting to defecate, compress the singer's abdominal aorta, shutting down his heart. He's a hit machine, even from beyond the grave.
Exactly. Yeah, he's inspiring us. Yeah, just kind of. Riffing.
When we make millions off of that, I think we should probably donate some to his estate. I don't think.
Nah.
No. Oh, he's got enough money, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think he's actually one of those highest paid dead people in terms of his estate. Because every now and then they release a remix of one of his songs.
Yeah, that's true. Greatest hits album. They're still the same songs, but every couple of years you'll see Here it is, the new Elvis Presley greatest hits in a different cover. But I mean, like you talk about, his kind of like influence from beyond, as it were, where you have kind of like lookalikes and singer-likes, people who do that. He's the person who has the most.
Oh yeah.
I think it's in like the 100,000s in terms of people that imitate him or have had like since his death.
Yeah, I mean, I do it as a part-time job.
Well, yeah, I thought that's how you make your living now, isn't it? You kind of manage to
Well, I've got it up to about 3 or 4 days a week. It's not always easy to get the gigs as an Elvis impersonator. I do a lot of busking as it though. And by busking, I mean I've got this porcelain toilet that I plonk on the street, and I just sort of like sit there in a catsuit, collapsed over it, just sort of like lolling around, like I don't, because nobody wants to see a dead Elvis, but Elvis in his death throes, people are very interested in seeing. You'd be surprised. I'm sort of like swaying on the toilet there, going, oh man.
Well, I've seen it a few times now, and I've got to say it's uncanny.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
No, that's quite all right.
And then I've got another smaller toilet for people to throw their change into.
Yeah. That's nice.
Should you look at some quotes? Elvis quotes?
I was going to say that, yeah, we've heard about the fact what people have said after he's died, but I think we should give him a chance to speak for himself.
Absolutely. We've heard the man's music. Let's hear his words.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, there is one quote of his that I know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one actually. I think really that says all that needs to be said about the man and his life.
Yeah.
I didn't quite catch all of it because I think you really need to kind of experience it all. Can you just give us that again?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about, isn't it?
It's quite haunting.
Yeah.
I think it quite beautifully encapsulates the whole human condition in about 3 syllables.
Yeah, absolutely. Like no one else could. Like no one else could.
That's why he was the king.
That's why he was the king. Yeah. Says it all.
Elvis, the man, the myth, the ice cream salesman, all condensed into a very small, concise podcast. I enjoyed it.
I certainly enjoyed talking about my hero, Elvis Presley.
Hopefully we've taught people things they might not have known.
I feel like I've been on a bit of a journey. I feel like it's crystallised a lot of my feelings about the man. And I hope that other people will have shared that same experience.
No doubt they will have.
Yeah, certainly. We've all learned something about him. We might edit some of it out, but we obviously listened to all of his music while we were recording.
That's right, yeah.
So what was you say? That was 600 songs he released. We listened to all of them. So it's been a week or two we've been sat in front of these microphones.
The whole process, yeah. Overall, I guess, yeah, has been about
start
a week.
to finish. Yeah, and we had to go out and buy all the vinyls. That was difficult to source every single Elvis song on vinyl. Oh yeah,
you need to. If you're going to do it, you got to do it right.
Do it right, yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. I mean, I've probably spent about like £725,000 like on these kind of first issues, first pressings of his original works.
Well, we wouldn't have a right to discuss the man and pass our judgment if we weren't sat in catsuits recording this with a burger in one hand and some sort of grilled cheese sandwich or whatever else you liked in the other hand, slathered in peanut butter and bacon. We would have no right to discuss the man.
No, I quite agree.
Pass our judgment.
Anyway, we better wrap it up. My ice cream in a bag's getting cold.
Yeah. So your milkshake in a bag, you mean?
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course.
Do the man some justice.
I'm very sorry.
Do the man some justice. So, this has been another episode of the Mailbox Rogues Gallery. And I'm Sean.
I'm James.
Bye.
Toodles.